What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Married at First Sight UK, Season 7, Episode 18. We are still at the couples retreat. So Gemma and Matt, they're still sleeping in separate rooms. Matt says that Gemma is a good girl, but just not my girl. And after his conversation with Whitney that he had on the bridge, he says that he is feeling really, really good. Whitney and Duca, they are actually sleeping in the same suite, but in different rooms or in different beds. They're not sharing a bed on this retreat. Whitney says that it feels like her and Duca are now just friends. George and April are having a conversation. George tells April that he thinks Thomas is a disgusting human being for calling April fake. And I was trying to understand why Thomas was calling April and George fake. I guess because they don't talk about what their problems are in their marriage, and they put on a show that everything is going fine with them, everything is going hunky-dory with them. Maybe that's why he's calling them fake. Jonathan and Sophie are having a conversation, and Jonathan is telling Sophie that he is not feeling any type of intense passion, any intense sexual chemistry with Sophie. He says that things between them now are kind of like the chemistry between them is kind of mushy. It's not red hot fire. So Sophie says that she thought that they were going strong. She was a little bit surprised when he said this. And Jonathan says that he doesn't like the person that he's becoming. Whitney confides in April that she did talk to Matt and what her and Matt talked about, and, her feelings for Matt. So now we get to the actual dinner party. So Gemma and Matt, I'm not sure if they came together, but when Jenna arrived at the dinner party, several people were already seated, and even Matt was already seated. So she goes to take her seat. I guess they arrived separately. I take it back. They did arrive separately because they're not even sharing the same room. So they had no way to arrive together, and they weren't going to call each other and coordinate their times of when they were going to be walking in together. So Matt was already there. He was already seated. And when Jenna arrives to the dinner party, she walks up to him and kind of was like, aren't you going to give me a hug? So he kind of reluctantly gets up and he gives her a hug. Thomas says that he is not here for April and Whitney. And he says that if they're going to start any mess, he's going to make sure to finish it. Someone says that Whitney had said Matt was this, so what they're doing now at the dinner party, they're going over the questions that they were asked when they were in their separate groups. Whenever the men and the women were separated, including Thomas and Zoe, when they were separated, they were, asking questions like, if you weren't with your current spouse, who would you want to be with? What couple do you think is the fakest? Who do you think is the most attractive groom, the most attractive bride, etc.? So now they're going through those questions collectively. So when the question was asked, who do you think is the most attractive groom besides the one that you were matched with or whatever, all the women said Kwame, except for Whitney. Whitney said Matt. Gemma notices that there's some flirty eye contact going on at the dinner table between Matt and Whitney. She has definitely taken note of that, but she doesn't know the extent of Matt and Whitney's relationship. So people are whispering that Duca looks like he's on edge. Jonathan got put in the hot seat. So Jonathan gets put in the hot seat about his comments regarding what he would do if Sophie gained weight, because he had said at some point that if she got any bigger, he would leave her. And he's trying to defend himself. He's trying to make it seem like it's really no big deal. That's just how I feel. And just because I said that, it doesn't mean that, Sophie needs to take it to heart or anybody else needs to take it to heart. It was just a really flippant comment that I made, and it's really no big deal. Y'all are taking it too far. Kwame says that Jonathan is just being honest. So Kwame is defending your boy Jonathan, telling people, hey, leave him alone. That's how he feels. That's his opinion. Let it go. Thomas also is defending Jonathan by saying, it's just his opinion. that, he wants those women to be a certain size, and it is what it is. Everybody tries to explain to Jonathan that it is basically like, it's wrong to think that way. It's wrong that you want your wife to stay at a certain size. It's just, people don't, it's just, you shouldn't do that, because we're humans. We're not robots. We're not, inanimate objects. Our bodies are going to fluctuate, and you want to know that your partner is with you for who you are and not necessarily for what you look like. Now, Kwame said that women do it too. Women do it too, and men just take it. They don't make a big fuss about it. For example, when a woman complains about a man losing his muscles, or when a woman complains about, her man not having a nice, full, lush beard or whatever. So he was like, it goes both ways. It's just that men have thicker skin. So then the next question is, who do you think is the fakest couple? Thomas could not wait for this question to pop up. He says that he believes that George and April are the most fake couple there. April says that just because they're private doesn't mean that they're fake. Because they keep their business to themselves, it doesn't mean that they're fake. April says that when it's time for the commitment ceremony, that they're going to bring it all out on the couch. They're going to expose all of their problems. So George says that Thomas, he stirs the pot only for attention. He likes for all the attention to be on him. He likes to make a spectacle of himself. And that's the only reason why he's poking at him and April. Everybody tells Thomas, to leave April and George alone. Let them handle their issues the way that they want to handle their issues, whether they want to expose everything or they don't want to expose everything. Just leave them alone. So Thomas says, well, okay, fine, I'll leave them alone. But the next time that George wants to come into my apartment and talk to my husband about his problems, he needs to go do it somewhere else. Don't come to my apartment anymore with your mess. And George was like, you know what? That's perfectly okay. Duca addresses Thomas in defense of April and George. So Duca and Thomas kind of get into it a little bit, where Duca is trying to explain to Thomas, leave them alone. It's their business, how they want to handle their relationship. And you know how Thomas gets. He gets so flustered that he gets up and he walks away. And as he's walking away from the table, Thomas is cursing out Duca. He's calling him, I don't know what he was calling him because they bleeped it all out, but he was giving him a really good tongue thrashing. So Duca keeps talking as Thomas is walking away, and Matt, of all people, gets up and he tries to console Duca. Like, he puts his arms around him and everything, attempting to calm him down and attempting to console Duca after Duca gets into this, argument with Thomas. And Kwame makes a comment out loud. Kwame says the irony of being consoled by the man who is taking his woman. And someone actually said, excuse me, what did you say, Kwame? And he had the guts to repeat what he said a little bit louder. He said, oh, I just said it's very ironic how you're letting yourself be comforted by the man that is taking your wife. Kwame says, everyone knows, so let's just put it all out in the open. Everybody knows, everybody's whispering about it. Let's just talk about it. So before things get too hectic, Matt pulls Gemma to the side because it's out there now. Matt pulls Gemma to the side to talk to her one-on-one. Duca, in the meantime, he says that it just shows Whitney's character, that she would be willing to, carry on this relationship with a whole nother man while she's still married to Duca. It just shows the kind of character she has. Matt tells Gemma that he wants to, so he sits down and he has a heart-to-heart with her, and he tells her that he's been developing feelings for Whitney and that he really wants to pursue things with Whitney. Gemma says, you had written me off since day 2. Basically, you never even gave me a chance. You never gave this marriage a chance. And now here you are talking about how you want to start something new with somebody else. Jenna tells him that because of him, her confidence has been completely shattered and she feels like she's been made a joke of. They return back to the table. Gemma is using all of her colorful language on Matt, cussing him out royally. And Matt says, well, this is the reason why we didn't work out, because of her mouth. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, that's the reason why I didn't work out. Nothing to do with the fact that you had no feelings for this woman since day 1, and now you've completely jumped ship and you want to start something with another man's wife. Gemma then asks the whole entire table, so did everybody know about this, the situation with Matt and Whitney? And Kwame was like, yes, girl, we all knew except you. And Matt even said something like, to justify him leaving Gemma for Whitney, he says, in your eyes, we were already done because you were referring to me as your ex-husband. And Gemma completely denied it and says, no, I didn't. And Thomas stood up for Gemma and said she never once referred to you as her ex-husband because, me and Gemma were really close. We talk about everything, and she's never once referred to you as her ex-husband. Gemma demands that Matt answer all of her questions. She says, you're going to sit down in that chair. You're going to answer every question that I have for you. And Matt absolutely refused. He was like, no, I'm not. And who the hell do you think you are? So then Matt gets up and he walks away. Jonathan tells Gemma that you must have known that your relationship was dead in the water. And Gemma's like, no, I didn't know because he gave me false hope. He kept on making me believe that, we were going to make a huge turnaround and that we need to just work at it. He made it seem like he wanted to stay in this to continue to work on this marriage. So no, I did not think that my relationship was dead in the water. Duca says in his confessional, I think Whitney and I are not compatible. You think? Whitney and Duca, with all of this chaos at the dinner table, poor Gemma, her emotions are like all over the place. Her heart was broken. She's being embarrassed. Whitney, everybody kind of like attacking Whitney and Matt. Duca is a little bit, to me, I felt like Duca was a bit aloof. Because Duca never really had any feelings for Whitney to begin with. So I don't think Duca really cared about the fact that Whitney and Matt started something behind his back. I don't think he really cared. But with all of this commotion and chaos, somehow or another, Matt and Whitney find the time and the opportunity to go meet secretly at on the bridge. And so they find themselves together on this bridge. And they're having a conversation, and Whitney says, where do we go from here? And then Matt says that, she gives him that feeling that he thought he would have for Gemma, that excitement, I guess, the butterflies in the stomach. He gives her those feelings. And this is where they find the perfect opportunity to share their first kiss, and they go for it. Now it's the next morning. We see Thomas bringing Gemma either a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. And Thomas tells Gemma that he had no idea about what was going on with Whitney and Matt. He didn't know because I'm pretty sure he's trying to make it seem like if I would have known, I would have told you. So don't think that I'm that kind of friend that would withhold information like that from you. We find out that Matt and Gemma spent the night together. Y'all, they spent the night together. And after talking about how wonderful their night was, both of them actually said that they were actually surprised about how Gemma reacted about the relationship. They felt like she was putting 20 on 10, that she was a little bit over the top with how she reacted. They were quite shocked that she was shocked that her husband was carrying on, that her husband was wanting to carry on a relationship with another man's wife while he was still married to her. They were just like, what was wrong with her? How could she react like that? I was like, are you people serious? My God. So episode 18 was fire. Okay, absolute fire. Is this stuff even real? I've been asking this question for weeks and nobody's answering my question. Is this stuff even real? Is this really going on, or is this all scripted? Because I find it hard to believe that these people will have the guts. And I know it's happened on Married at First Sight Australia, and I was just as shocked then that these people would have the guts to cheat on their spouses and carry on these relationships with other people. It just blows my mind. But that is my review of episode 18. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it on your way out. Don't forget to rate the video if you like this content. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.